Bish bash bosh. Hello everyone. This is episode 16 of the Blob Watch. And you're joined with your host, as always, AI Tori. And today I've got another reoccurring guest, Joz. How are you doing, sir?
Good evening.
And this week, originally it was just this whole stream was going to be dedicated to the the Galactic Federation and the UFO stories, but because it's gone a bit wild at the moment. But we're going to cover some news about what's going on in America with the states and the new Confederacy rising up to oppose the oppression progressive northern states. And also some breaking news coming out of our own country here in the UK on Brexit as well. So we will hopefully there may be some breaking news while we're streaming, so I might have to interrupt and go into that. But
I can see I can see Boris has failed the nation is trending on Twitter.
Yeah, it's not Brexiteers who were tweeting that out. Let's
No,
just
it's
say
not.
that.
I guess on a slightly similar note is I've been looking through the Monster Raving Loony Party Twitter feed, and I reckon I will be supporting them. In future, they seem pretty confident. One of them is saying that they're going to abolish income tax because it was started in order to fund the Napoleonic War, and I think that's a perfectly reasonable policy that I can definitely get behind.
Yes. They're not wrong, actually. Yeah, that's what it was. It was for the war and effort and everything. Then, though I think like Jelly Baby's right to vote and everything. I mean, but to be honest, the stuff that we're going to be talking about tonight is going to be Clown World anyway. So
I think I've seen or I've heard of them basically tracking which ones of their suggested policies actually come true. I think there was one about pet passports that was initially there. They were the first people to put that forward as a joke, and then it became a real thing. That's just one example.
Yeah. That sounds that it was the pet passport scheme, and the idea was to sort of tackle rabies and everything, but and to prevent foreign diseases and everything coming to this country and trafficking. So a broken clock can be right.
You can do your Tory entryism. I'm doing Monster Ravy Loony entryism.
Okay, good luck at the ballot box. I remember the 2019 one in Boris's seat. There was like a man who had, I think he was Monster A, but he had like a shirt which was basically like standing next to Boris saying Epstein didn't kill himself. Which I thought was pretty Chad move.
They seem kind of like the humor that they have. It kind of betrays behind the scenes that they might kind of be slightly based in some ways. I think the sort of things that they mock basically makes me think that it's the same sort of jokes that I've been making. I'm semi-memeing about supporting them, if I'm honest. I'm only half joking.
I would love to see a Monster Loony Party in local government.
Get just one MP. Just do better than UKIP.
Yeah, just yeah. But anyway, the purpose of this stream tonight is to talk about three crucial stories of this week. First of all, Joz, I'm guessing have you heard of the UFO story? Oh, hi Saffron. We got Saffron in chat here along with JD. Hello to both of you. So we're going to be talking about UFO, guys.
Yes. I had a quick skim of the was it Jerusalem Post article or Post of Jerusalem or something like that article earlier. So it's interesting what the guy puts forward.
Yeah. Oh, my screen's frozen. Oh dear.
Do you want me to share it, or do you want to restart something?
I'm just gonna. Oh dear. Okay, I might have to restart it.
Tech.
Tech boomerish. Oh, actually, it's not boomer. It's internet. I I never had this problem with it.
Can we get some boomers in the chat?
Not responding. I'm gonna have to close the program. Damn it.
Okay, well, if you drop out, then I guess I'll entertain until you get back.
Okay.
I see JD's talking about hot alien babes and Zach Brannigan. I find it quite funny how a lot of the responses I've seen from guys about the monoliths and this kind of thing has basically been, I want to fuck an alien. I think people are consuming too much Star Trek. Okay, now there's two of you. Well, there was. This is getting out of hand. Now there are two of them.
Oh, can you hear me now?
Yeah, there are two of you. Or you
Yeah.
keep coming with two of you, and then you go back to one. Unless I've just been drinking too much recently.
No, you're right. I don't know how to get rid of the second me, so I'm just going to leave it like that. Oh yeah, so yeah, you were saying about you. I've just heard you caught you on the tail end, but this former Israeli security chap. What was he? What was his title?
I'm going to see if I can find the article. I obviously was talking about it on Twitter, so I think I'm going to look there. I think my only comment was just to laugh at it, if I'm honest. Oh, here we go. Yeah, Space Security Chief Haim Ashed. I don't know how to pronounce it. Revealed that aliens from a galactic federation have been in contact with the US and Israel for years, but humanity isn't ready to know this.
So I've got the article from the
Jerusalem Post. That was close.
Post. Yeah. So this is like the people who, I think, interviewed him.
Before we start, how respected is the Jerusalem Post in Israel? Is it like their equivalent of, I don't know,
the
like
Times,
Metro or something?
Yeah, it's I guess maybe like Jerusalem Post. Yeah, I wouldn't know. I wouldn't know how to class it. From what I can see, I would say they're like the Times Telegraph, so they're not like some wacky conspiracy theorist newspaper. They seem to be like a well-respected, established newspaper. So, yeah, we'll run with it. So the article here is speaking in an interview to Yadiat Aharet Esht, okay, who serves as the head of the US space program for nearly 30 years and is a three-time recipient of the Israeli Security Award, explained that Israel and the US have been both dealing with aliens for years. And this by no means refers to immigrants. Okay.
Illegal aliens specifically.
Yeah, very illegal aliens. With Eshed clarifying the existence of a galactic federation.
That's the bit that I'm pressing X to doubt. I mean, the fact that it's the US and Israel is a bit strange. It would explain US's kind of obsession with Israel since its inception. But there are probably other reasons we could probably not get into.
So the 87. I just want to emphasize the guy's age. 87-year-old. Now, things happen when you get older. You go a bit loopy sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes.
Yeah, it is possible. Maybe he has well. Okay, let's look at it from this perspective. I see it as a 50-50 chance. 50% there's an ulterior motive behind this, and it's just it's a noise distraction for whatever reason, or this old man is telling the truth.
You see, it's 50-50.
Yeah, it's 50-50. I generally think it's 50-50, and I tell you what, if it's 50-50, that means a lot of people who have been written off as conspiracy theorists might also be correct in this timeline.
Alex Jones. I mean, Alex Jones, I guess, is more about occult stuff rather than
Yeah, I mean,
aliens from a Galactic Federation.
Yeah.
Well, is it David Icke is more into that stuff? I mean, I don't really know much about him.
Yeah. Well, he.
The lizard
There
people.
was a French conspiracy theorist who sort of came up with the who claimed to have contact with aliens, and it was like multiple races, and I think he even referenced like a galactic union of races that were all doing things like this. And he came up with the idea of Project Bluebeam. Have you heard of Project Bluebeam?
Oh, is that they're trying to fake a alien invasion?
Yeah. Now, I actually think, in reality, I think that's what we're going towards. Project Bluebeam.
I saw. I was watching back Academic Agents Unpopular Opinion stream the other day, and they were talking about that there. About it's like if climate change, the COOF don't work, and the COOF don't work, then what next? I guess David Icke for PM. Yeah, he's British.
Yeah. And let's be honest, he's British. And let's be honest, even let's just say the aliens do reveal themselves. All those salty Remainers will be the first ones, literally, fawning over and surrendering their souls to the alien overlords.
Because, they would become the experts, I guess.
Well, they would. Yeah, I tell you what, if I would do a blood pack deal with the aliens. I would allow them to depopulate places like Brighton, London, Bath, which else? Liverpool, Ireland for good measure, and of course Scotland as well. And they could have those people who live in those areas, and we can live in peace. That's my deal.
The eastern seaboard of the United States.
Oh yeah, California. Yeah, they can. I tell you what, I'd actually succeed California to them and be like a little alien colony. They can do what they want there. that'd be a fair deal.
I mean, historically speaking, from humans, I don't think that would end very well.
Yeah. And this is the thing. Well, I'll continue with the article, and we'll sum it up a bit. So the 87-year-old former head of the Defense Ministry Space Division gave further descriptions about exactly what sort of agreements that have been made between the aliens and the US, which ostensibly have been made because they wish to research and understand the fabric of the universe. This cooperation includes a secret underground base on Mars where there are American and alien representatives.
Yeah, like this is where it gets a bit what the fuck. Like
I have heard of this conspiracy theory before, and I'll mention about underground bases on Mars with alien and humans, and this is where the triangle, the triangle UFOs come into it. I mean, it's all connected, Joz. It's all connected. All my footage that I've got of UFOs is all connected in a grand
all I'm saying is that the pyramids are just a very efficient shaped building.
Yeah. Well, Elon Musk, I mean, someone just put in the chat here is Horace. Remember, Elon Musk was the one that was saying, "Oh, the pyramids were built by by aliens," and then the Egyptian government would basically said, "No, they weren't."
Yeah, but what did the Egyptian government know?
Yeah.
They weren't there. Elon definitely was. I mean, I guess on Elon, did you see the testing they were doing last night? Or
yes.
Yeah, it was last night for us. That was pretty mad.
It's so funny because you go on like TikTok or something, and like midwit Californians, in previous ones at least, would film it and they'll go UFO, alien invasion. It was UFOs.
Jesus, it did look like something out of this world, to be honest. This kind of like tin can with little stubby wings floating like in a way that it shouldn't be.
Yeah.
It didn't look like it should be able to fly like it did.
No,
pretty crazy.
It is, and I mean, it's very pretty like the spray. If you wanted to be honest about it. I mean, I like watching Elon Musk's launches that he does because
Yeah, yeah.
it's got style to it. It's style.
And if you
It's not
see
like
them,
some boring NASA.
yeah, I mean, when they were trying to land it, and it does this like ridiculous, like, I don't know, 180-degree flip in midair, and it's like this building-sized tin can. That obviously it fucked it up slightly and exploded, but that flip to land exactly on the launch pad was insane.
Yes. What? Oh yeah, because I remember I mocked Elon's because it was like a grain silo, like in one of his ones.
Yeah. No, they literally had water silo engineers as part of the teams. Like they hired I think it was water tower technicians to build it, because that's basically what it is. It's a giant vat of liquid that you have to suspend in the air.
Yeah. Well, that's all you need, really. I guess if depending on what he wants. But I say we'll continue with the article. So, if true, this would coincide with the U.S. presidential Donald Trump's creation of the Space Force as the fifth branch of the U.S. Armed Forces.
It's all part of the plan.
It's all part of the long-term plan. Though it is unclear how long this sort of relationship, if any, has been going on between the US.
Can you imagine, like, sitting? Like, I'm imagining at the start of every US presidency with an incoming president, they sit him down in the Oval Office or some in the Grand Bunker and tell him about the aliens. Can you imagine doing that to Trump? Like, you can imagine Obama just being kind of like meek and sort of and like serious and interested about it, but then Trump's just like, nah, fuck off, mate. That's not a thing. And they have to like actually convince him.
Can you imagine like Trump going down to like see the alien bodies or something that they've recovered? He'd be like, "Ew, what's this? Why is it all gooey?" That's my Trump impression. To be honest, there is a part of me that would think that he might like tweet it. They just go, by the way, aliens are real, but the news isn't, or something like that. Fake news.
Aliens are not the enemy of the people, but the fake news media is, in caps.
Yeah. I've had a great talk with high energy Zimbrad, Emperor of the such and such federation. And we've got an epic new trade deal, and the Dems are a bunch of losers because they're not releasing the surplus. It'd be something like that.
Yeah. This idea of a galactic federation just doesn't make much sense to me. Like, I don't imagine a society that is capable of whatever interstellar travel is going to form something as gay as a sort of UN or EU or whatever. Like, you would have thought that, I guess they would have moved beyond that.
It depends. I mean,
because it sounds like that's what they're describing.
Yeah. Well,
like, how would that even work?
maybe the aliens are as boring as us.
Because if they're talking about a galactic federation, unless it's like really ambitiously named, like, I mean, I guess the distances are too much to really communicate in. Like, by the time you've made any sort of resolution, then it's half a galaxy away.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know how it. Oh well, I don't know how that would work. See, this is the big mystery. But they won't tell us. We'll get on to that actually, because he sort of goes on to say that this is the thing that really irks me in the article. First of all, he'll claim later on, but I'll just raise it now, that they won't tell the humans, us, the important details of the Galactic Federation, of their technology, yet they're happy to build an underground base with us in Mars.
Well, I guess it's the general public, not our elites, which again makes me doubt the story, because the fabrication of this is kind of presupposed on them being worthy of going to this Martian base. as opposed to the common man.
And also, I mean, let's just say that all of this is true. All of it is true, and there are aliens and everything else on Mars with U.S. military personnel. This would have to be so top secret that nobody, like the president, couldn't know. No politician could know this.
Yeah.
Nobody in the CIA, because the risk of it getting leaked out there. I mean, even NASA couldn't know about it. It would have to be so top secret.
I remember watching Edward Snowden on the Joe Rogan podcast, and obviously Rogan kind of pushing him, implying like, tell us about the aliens, and he's like, look, I looked through the whole CIA, whatever it's files or servers or whatever, and I found absolutely nothing. And he found the fucking I can't remember what the operation was called, but the wiretapping, spying on everyone stuff, which obviously would be top secret, need to know only in its own right.
Yeah,
like at a higher level than that.
There is that I know I know this. In the UK, there's several levels above top secret in the UK.
At what point does it get above? I mean, I guess it's only post-wars that the Prime Minister has been a more head of state style figure, I guess.
Yeah, there are certain things that in this country the Prime Minister doesn't know.
What about the Queen? What about the Queen?
Yeah, there's certain things the Queen doesn't know. There are certain things the head of MI5 and MI6 don't know.
Who would know then?
Well, that's the question. What bodies make up institutions which are not on the books? That's the question, because we know from the Edward Snowden files that there are some Americans illegally operating within the United States to hack this or that.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't surprise me if there were because the trouble is with like politicians and governments is it constantly changes. It constantly changes every 5 years, UK or America.
Is a democratic system, does that have its downsides?
Yes, it does. Democracy is a massive problem in the way of progress. And yes, one guy called Steve. It probably is. I mean, I would say, and this is where I think the idea of the UFO thing falls down. It would have, if you want to keep a secret, because if you go on the assumption that aliens have been visiting Earth and we've known about it since post World War II, you would have to have at least about 2 or 3 people who would know about it in the world, because anything more than that, you couldn't contain it.
I think there was some mathematics stuff done on, was it sleeper cells or there's the way that they set up intelligence cells so that everyone knows the minimum amount to do their job.
Yeah.
It was something like 3 or 4 people, and then beyond that, it was really hard to keep the information under control.
Yeah. Now the other thing, and this is where you go into Bob Lazar, which is quite an interesting story.
Yeah. I remember. I think it was a couple of years ago. I think again after I was in a bit of a Joe Rogan phase, and he'd gone on there, and I watched his documentary, and I went on a bit of a Bob Lazar binge for like a week.
The thing there with Bob Lazar, and this is where I'm uncertain with him. I am uncertain. I think he believes that he was working on extraterrestrial vehicles.
He's been consistent for, is it decades or
since the 1980s? He's been consistent for nearly just over 30 years.
He first appeared anonymously on a radio, on a BBC, on a TV show as a sort of blacked out silhouette with the voice changer and everything, and no one knew who he was. And then obviously he revealed himself more. Did he get caught showing his friends the Area 51 site or something?
Yeah, and the footage is still out there on the internet somewhere.
Yeah, and then the government ruined his life. Wasn't it? There's something about them tapping his phone so that they knew that his wife was cheating on him, but they didn't tell him, or they couldn't tell him.
Yeah. But the way that they run the operations, which is how they usually run top secret, like when it came to like the nuclear, when they were building the bomb, what happened was you had people working on the project, but they they sort of decentralized the project. So when you would work on one section, another person on another section, and you wouldn't know what you were working on. People had their suspicions, and the important thing was you weren't allowed to communicate with people in the team effectively working on the same project.
I know Lazar talked about that as well.
When
he wasn't allowed to talk to people of other departments. I mean, with the very, very limited project management experience that I have, that sounds like a fucking nightmare.
Yes. And also, the interesting thing is he believes that these objects were found at a excavation site, so they were dug up.
He describes it was several basically spaceships, excuse me, and he basically describes them as unmistakably alien, that they're sort of disc shaped and they're not built for human-sized people. They kind of hover around. I mean, they talk about this element 115 as well, which I'm a bit skeptical of. Like, I think that's what you said that they used to power it, was it element 115?
I think he said, was it the material of the of the aircraft?
It was something like that. Yeah, that it was used to bend gravity in some way, and I'm very skeptical of that. I'm mashing X to doubt on that. Like, element 115 is something that's been synthesized in particle accelerators, I think, but it's possible to predict its properties quite accurately. I haven't actually seen any research on it, but I'm sure you could look it up.
Yeah. What I know about element what was it? 115, 118?
Yeah, 115. I think
115. From what I can see, he first talked about it in the 90s in an interview. He didn't come out with it initially in the 80s, right at the beginning, but maybe that's because it was like news and radio. He was more focusing on the UFO side of it. But he talked about this, and it wasn't until decades later that I think it was the particle accelerator lot in Switzerland, discovered the element. So from what I can see, but he throughout that period, 10 years plus, he was consistently talking about the element, while many people at the time sort of just ignored it because they at the time he had no proof. However, I think in the documentary, he apparently has the remains of I'm just trying to remember, what was it? It was the remains of components that he says are not from this planet, were not built on this planet.
What is it? I don't think I saw that bit. So he has like parts of the ships or whatever.
He hints at that quite heavily. I don't know if it's like actual parts of the ship. It could be like stuff found around the ship that are just. But he says that have the element and are and he has them. He has like several parts, and he's had like scientists look at them, and it was like, oh yeah, this is a pretty strange thing you got here, and it's like we can't really identify it, and this was right back in the day apparently. So but yeah, he's and this was at the same sort of time he got raided by the FBI. So yeah, that's Bob Lazar. I say, well, I'll just continue. I'll finish off this article, and then we'll probably can sum up. So, oh God, where do I go? Yeah. So, but Escher insists that Trump is aware of them and that he was on the verge of disclosing their existence. However, the Galactic Federation reportedly stopped him from doing so, saying they wished to prevent mass hysteria since they felt humanity needed to evolve and reach a stage where we will understand what space and spaceships are.
This just reeks of like sort of elitist transhumanist kind of shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It sounds like if you were making it up, you're kind of presupposing a lot of things which we kind of have seen people espouse.
Yes.
It sounds like a technocrat's fan fiction, basically.
Yes.
The regular human isn't evolved enough to understand this. It sounds like somebody who, as I said, a technocrat's fan fiction.
Yeah, and I mean, just imagine asking Trump not to do something. I mean, he'd be like, "No, I'm doing it," tweeting it out now. And he'd probably like call like the aliens low energy or something. I don't know. Just for the sheer hell of it. But Escher, oh no, I read that bit. As for why he's chosen to reveal the information now, Escher explained that the timing was simply due to how much of the academic landscape has changed and how respected he is in academia, or maybe not for too long. If I had to come up with what I'm saying today 5 years ago, I would have been hospitalized. He added that today they're already talking differently. I have nothing to lose. I've received my degrees and awards. I am respected in universities abroad, where the trend is also changing. Escher provided more information in his newest book, The Universal Beyond the Horizon, conversation with Professor Chaim Eshard, along with other details such as how aliens have prevented nuclear apocalypses and when we can jump in and visit the Men in Black. The book is available from NIS 98.
Is that the currency?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, out there. While it's unclear if the evidence exists that could support Escher's claim, they did come just ahead of a recent announcement by Space L, the group behind Israel's failed attempt to land a spacecraft on the moon in 2019. Uploaded on social media with text ready to get excited again. The announcement contains 50-second video on the moon with text saying "Back to the moon," followed by the date.
The Israelis trying to get a man on the moon at some point. I mean, the Chinese have now got a flag on the moon, which is a bit depressing.
Yeah, and it's really blackpilling. I mean, ideally, every planet at some point in the future should have a British flag on
it. Yes,
yeah.
Absolutely.
It's natural.
Go and scuff the Chinese one into the moon dust.
Yeah.
I saw somebody saying like, "Oh, these aliens are probably people from the future," and I bet the Chinese, which is like a super big oof. All humans from the future are Chinese.
I don't think so, because I don't think you can travel back in time. Sorry.
Well, yes, that's something that I normally tend to pull people up on.
Yeah, you can travel forward in time. You just can't travel back in time.
Yes. If anyone's watched my my stream with Economic Erudite, then they will know that.
Yes, I have, and also I was aware in science when we school has science about because obviously light it's a straight line and time and everything else. So yeah, I've heard of those theories though that basically UFOs are just people from the future and everything. And to be honest, if you would say interdimensional travelers, that probably be more believable than time travelers.
Yeah, I mean, alternate universes is stuff that people get quite tangled up in, I think, because they go on about the quantum shit where it's like, oh, this happens in another universe. But that's quite pseudosciencey to an extent. It's just one way of looking at it, which people latch onto because of they like the idea of it. or they like the quantum shit because it makes them sound smart.
Yeah. It's a nice idea, isn't it? It's
yeah.
So, I mean, to sum up this article, I think there are two things here. I think number one, he's trying to sell his book.
Yes.
And aliens, I mean, this is the thing. To the Stars Academy, the people who released those fighter jet UFOs, which a couple of years ago, which have only been like I think this year or last year confirmed that the Navy, just US Navy, don't know what those objects were.
Was that the Tic Tacs?
Yeah, the Tic Tacs and the Go
Yeah.
Fast, and then those ones. So since then, and the interesting thing about that, and this is the interesting story with it all, that could be aliens, given the reporting of what the pilots and the people on the Nimitz and other witnesses. They said, you had the 5 observables, which was, does it have any propulsion? Can it, what is it defying the laws of gravity? And does it break the sound barrier? I mean, there was a list of things where basically it was not your conventional aircraft in the sense of real world. I mean, I think one person just said, it was able to drop like what was it? It was about they saw from their radar, it was like the atmosphere, and it just managed to drop down to the ocean floor within about a couple of seconds.
Yeah.
And not even break the sound barrier, which is like, how's that possible?
And not break the sound barrier.
Yeah, not break. There's no like atomic. If that happened, that would
be atmospheric effects around it, right? So they won't do that stuff. That's interesting.
And you would have like sonic booms and everything. Nothing. And because they went faster than the speed of sound, like the actual speed of it was like So, and the trouble is they don't know what it is.
So they've discovered a scientist's or a mathematician's perfect spacecraft or aircraft, and that it just ignores air resistance.
Yeah, basically. I will. I'll just. I'll bring up the video. Of the actual Tic Tac, because there's actually 2 videos. One people thinks it's Tic Tac. There's actually the one with the voiceover. That wasn't the Tic Tac. The Tic Tac one was actually far more interesting. I
want full 360 drone footage. Or nah. JD's talking about teleportation in the chat. One. I mean, that's something I actually have studied at university and taken exams on, or doing a revision for that. We basically ended up having to like write things on pieces of paper and pass them around the room to figure out how the algorithm worked, because it's a bit complicated.
Yeah. I always wondered teleportation to be. I imagine it like wormholes, but then it's not accurate, because I mean you go through a wormhole and you can come out the other side, but where do you come out and how do you control it?
The idea of teleportation, like a Star Trek style, is you kind of transmitting yourself. So you've got to convert yourself into light and then zap yourself somewhere else and then reform it. I guess otherwise, as you say, it's just some sort of wormhole warp thing.
Yeah. So this is the video, and probably just think the US naval pilot just said this. The locking on the 2 bars below here where you're locking on. So these 2 sidebars here. This is like the onboard computer targeting system, and what it does is it locks onto a target, because you had all these like really bizarre debunkers that said, oh, it's a bug, and it's like, yeah, these targeting systems don't lock onto butterflies, fellas.
Yeah, I feel like if there's one system you're going to want to pretty heavily bug test, it's a fighter jet locking system, radar locking system.
Yeah, Yeah, and this object was again, from the distance that this guy was, because we got like the information on the side here. I mean, it's not for good quality, but the object he reckoned was about the size of a van.
Right.
Okay, so that's what the person who took this Commander Fravor took the video, and what you'll see is it in this motion at the beginning. It's basically not moving. It's just hanging around there, hovering. It's not even hovering. It's just sitting still. The wind, nothing is affecting it. So it's not like a helicopter or anything, because helicopters would move. You see the tail rotors and everything. There's nothing on this thing. But what is interesting is it manages to pretty much just zip out of the locked-on targeting system that they've got on it. So it just, and the computer just can't track it because it just goes boop, and you'll see it in the video. So I'll just play it, and it's there's no sound with it in this particular one.
Yeah, I mean, even old helicopters and stuff have pretty advanced locking and tracking systems for multiple targets. This kind of technology has been around for a while.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, damn.
So this is TV mode that they go into because they want to see more detail. And you can see the shape is like a tic tac. Yeah. And what you'll see is he's getting closer, and because the reason it's moving is he's actually flying closer and closer to it. And so that's why it's not, because people think, oh, the object, it's not moving, he's just getting closer. And you can see it as he gets closer, the object notices he's getting closer, and then it starts to move slightly, and readjust it. And this is towards the end. This is where I think it's pretty extraordinary.
Yeah.
You'll see it'll just jump out of camera shot, and you can see it a bit clearly now.
It's not
there we go.
It's moving. Yeah.
This is the thing. You just, as you said it doesn't actually jump out. It actually sort of, he says it was like it teleported. It just went zip zap and
yeah. It's not like it vanishes and reappears. Like it does move. Like you can see it move on the screen.
Yeah. It's really strange, and I think if Russia or China had this, I think they would know about it. The Americans. I genuinely don't think that anybody knows, and this is where I'm going to come down to the UFO thing. I think in reality, these things here are a mystery. Could it be made on Earth? Could it be humans from an advanced, like skunk works or whatever they call themselves now? Possibly. This was back in 2000, by the way, this video. Could it be another nation? Possibly. But no one's confessed to it. Nobody seems to know what it is. They interviewed former Russian. It was a documentary. They interviewed former Russian, like KGB lot and everything, and they've had the same problem with these mysterious objects, like underwater and in the skies and everything. So the question is, this is a real UFO. It's a real mystery, and I would say this is pretty compelling evidence. If I was going to say aliens have visited Earth, I would say this is it.
Yeah, I mean, it's my. I guess I kind of always fall back on the Galactic Federation thing. Is like that just doesn't sound plausible to me. I don't know.
I think. I mean, this is what I would say. I think, in reality, I think aliens have visited and do visit, but I don't think they don't take any interest in us.
Well, why would they?
Well, that's the thing. Either we're like it's like a highway, and they're just passing through, and sometimes they stop and have a look because it's interesting. Look at all those people down there.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard people basically saying stuff like, "Oh, that they would be basically considering us like a passing anthill," and it's like, yes, but at the same time, we do have nuclear weapons. And nuclear weapons, while they are like there's stuff that we have that is on a similar power level. It's the same process that goes on in stars, so they're obviously cosmic power.
Well, it is possible that maybe depending on how if you say alien civilization, doesn't necessarily mean that they go through a nuclear age. In fact, they could achieve space travel in theory without without the nuclear capabilities. In theory, I mean that's the other.
As I said, the actual process behind nuclear, I guess, explosions, nuclear reactions is, as I say, the same thing that goes on in stars. So if a civilization orbits a star, it's going to think, how does that work? Like, assuming they have some sort of similar psychology to us.
Yeah.
So from there, as soon as they realize it's a giant nuclear explosion in space, if they're anything like us again, they'll think, right, how can I weaponize that?
Yeah. Maybe they haven't weaponized nuclear power.
Well, I mean, my answer to that is why wouldn't they? To be honest.
Well, that's a good. Or maybe they have, and they, collectively these civilizations came to conclusion, maybe after war and what have you, that these things are pretty dangerous and they are banned galactically, and then suddenly, oh shit, the ape people have discovered them. Oh shit, they've discovered missiles. Oh shit, they're having a massive post-war technological advance.
Well, I mean, we seem to be struggling with banning weapons in space, especially nuclear ones. Well, conventional ones are not banned, I guess. Nuclear ones are banned, but these sort of test ban treaties, I guess they're easy to violate. You can quite obviously tell from a satellite if a nuclear explosion goes off on the planet.
Yeah, you can.
But obviously, countries still have
them. I also remember hearing, I heard something online that NASA nuked, was it Saturn or something?
What?
Oh,
I don't think that's true. They dropped a spacecraft into it to kind of sterilize it.
Oh, that might be it then. Oh, okay.
Yeah, because it was the Cassini space probe. So they flew it around Saturn and its moons to get cool pictures, and the pictures are sick if you look them up. But then, because they have a policy of kind of not leaving spacecraft in orbit around other planets or trying not to, they wanted to sterilize it basically, because in case it had any microbes or stuff from Earth riding on it.
Yeah.
Which is not out of the realms of possibility. They just dumped it into the atmosphere of Saturn, which is a pretty good way of destroying something.
Because I remember hearing again the point of the conspiracy theory that it was actually they just nuked Saturn just to see the effect, because they found another ring that wasn't there before.
I mean, the ring is like, I guess in theory, every planet had a ring initially. It just coalesced into a moon.
Yeah.
Like it's just a sort of proto-moon. Which planet are we making the first member of our galactic colonies? Well, the way it's going is Mars.
Okay. So, do you know the various races in the Galactic Federation?
Have you? Oh, is this like an official line? Because I haven't seen anything like that.
Yeah, this is actually canon. Okay.
Is there a French analogy?
Yeah. Let me just find the. Oh fuck's sake! Okay. Okay, let me just go alien races, because that I can't. I'm typing Galactic Federation. All it comes up with is like bloody board games and video game stuff. Right. All right. So, first of all, you got your Greys.
Right. Yeah.
Everyone knows the Greys.
They're the sort of really stereotypical, like 60s, sort of the giant heads, the slanted eyes. As I said, they always seem to look Asian for some reason, which makes me think they are humans from the future.
Yeah. Around the Greys, you've got the Hopsville Goblins, Little Green Men.
What?
Um,
I forgot
they're
pictures.
basically the Greys. Yeah, I think. Then you got the Nordic aliens.
What? Like space Vikings.
Basically, in UFO, Nordic aliens are human extraterrestrials reported to come from the Pel, Pleiades.
Fuck, what's it called? Pleiades.
Pleiades, that's it. That's where they come from, allegedly.
Right. It's the plot of the Thor Marvel movies.
Yeah. Well,
It's Nordic aliens.
this dates back to the 50s, apparently. I'm just reading what it was for. It was also the plot of The Day the Earth Stood Still as well.
Yes.
Apparently, them and the Greys have had like a little battle going on for centuries.
So is Bob Lazar stuff is supposed to belong to the Greys, right?
Yeah. Well, we don't know. He suspects. He's never talked. He never even talked about what races of aliens because he just says that it was built for very small beings, very small. So could be. It depends. I don't know I don't know what the canon height for the agreed height for the average grey is.
Yeah, where are you getting this this canon from?
Wikipedia.
Fair.
There was oh god. The only reason I'm doing it like this is because this is the quick way that I had a list but I can't remember. You then got dwarves, and I don't think that's canon. Oh, here we go. The reptilians and the reptilioids. So this is where we're going to go a bit David Icke.
Yeah, the Queen is one of them. And,
Yeah, the Queen.
I think Tony Blair was looking a bit reptilian.
Yeah, and yeah, they again. Now, as crazy as this sounds, it may not be that crazy, and I'll explain why.
Go on then, convince me. Sell this to me.
Right. Multiple cultures have deities which represent human bodies and like lizard faces and heads. You have it in your Mesopotamian cultures, yeah, with like Egypt and such. Zulu with the Aranaki or whatever they call themselves, which is maybe like their gods. Like two warring god princes over the moon. You also have it in your Aztecs and in your Latin American societies.
I mean, I would put that down to lizards being present on every continent and then being kind of creepy.
Possibly, that is also a possibility, but I was, we just put it up there. Yeah, we're turning to ancient alien. Yes.
Yeah, I'm doing the hand sign right now.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's aliens, but it's aliens. So you got the reptilians, lizard men. You got rods. Now rods are actually. Have you ever seen those rods?
No, that doesn't ring a bell.
Right, I've got to show you this. It's very funny. These ones. The aliens. I'll try and bring up an image. They're called like skyfish.
Yeah, so I'm struggling with the idea of a Galactic Federation because we seem to struggle so much when we're all human. Oh, what the fuck is this?
Rods.
Oh, so they're like flying millipedes or something?
I guess so.
What the fuck? Oh, they're like it's the cuttlefish that have the weird
supposedly, supposedly all of this was like they fly through the sky and there's several sizes of them. I didn't know. I didn't make any of this up.
That's so weird.
And well, that's a plane. Anyone can see that's a plane.
That's quite obviously a plane, yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, come on, man.
Now that's strange. I'll give you that.
It's like a section of a bridge hovering in the sky.
Yeah. So yeah, that's rods.
Interesting.
Boring as hell. And then this is like the other canon. Canon. Okay, do you want to listen to this?
Go on then.
Oh, fuck's sake. Okay. Chinese designer babies.
I told you that all the humans from the future and which is why they're Chinese, because all humans in the future will be Chinese. That's the way we're going.
Yeah. Enslaved humans who have been converted into super soldiers.
Actually, my friend sent me an article about the French developing super soldiers, actually. I don't know why he sent it to me. Can't imagine why.
Okay, and Russian dwarves called Aoshenka, which is prematurely born female babies with deformities.
What the fuck?
And then the other one, which is of course the human alien hybrid.
This is the "can I fuck an alien" instinct that seems to be coming out from every guy that I've seen responding to this.
Yeah.
The clap them alien cheeks.
Yes. So I think we'll leave the alien stuff now for a bit.
Sorry, I've just got this article on the French developing super soldiers, and it's from the BBC, so it must be trustworthy.
Oh, okay.
In fact, I'll send it to you in the private chats. So my friend just sent it to me earlier, and I thought it was funny. Hybrid, you say? Yes.
Oh goodness me! what is this show becoming?
Yes, you wanted to talk about Brexit, but no.
I'm actually not joking. Like literally, 2020 politics has broken me.
You're now fully believing in the aliens. You want to believe, and you have started believing.
Yeah.
Look, yeah.
It's
so
not really believing. It's just hoping, because I want to convince the aliens that the French are evil, so they can obliterate.
Well, she says in her speech last week, Minister Madame Florence Parly has said that France has no immediate plans to develop invasive technology for soldiers, but we must face the facts. She added, "Not everyone shares our scruples, and we must be prepared for whatever the future holds."
No, seriously, fuck off. They couldn't even forget super soldiers. When they had normal soldiers, the French were bloody useless. Not making them super soldiers is just going to make it a level playing field with every other nation on the planet.
They give them giant robotic legs so they can run away fast.
Yeah, give them jetpacks so they can have extendable white flags from the jetpacks.
The British Army are the only ones with jetpacks, as far as I'm aware. Or because we've got
yes,
you know that Gravity Industries guy.
Yeah.
I did a stream where I mentioned him a while ago now, and he apparently his suit has been taken up by some of the mountain rescue people in the Lake District.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
So they literally, you break your leg on a fell, you call 999, and they send up a guy in a literal jet suit to come and look after you until a helicopter gets there.
That's pretty cool.
It's sick.
This is why this is why I say that even if there is a galactic fucking federation, just do our own stuff. Fuck them.
As I say, we have nuclear weapons. Like, I can't think of anything sort of within the laws of physics, I guess, that is more destructive unless you start like redirecting asteroids at them or something.
Yeah.
Like, what can you do that's more powerful than a Tsar bomber? Say, like that thing nearly set the fucking atmosphere on fire.
Exactly. I mean, like, and okay, let's just say these Federation guys are real. What gives them the right to boss us around? We got fucking weapons of mass destruction. We could end them.
Yeah, we can wipe ourselves out like 100 times over.
Yeah, I mean, they should be frightened of us. Maybe they are frightened of us. I don't know.
I mean, that's not, that is the plot of a lot of sci-fi, is that the enlightened aliens turn up and find us as our unevolved caveman with godlike power, and which kind of makes me think it's the sort of narrative of humans not being evolved enough. As I said, it sounds like a technocrat's fan fiction. Like I don't like that narrative basically, and it kind of rings alarm bells when I hear it.
Yeah, and that sort of goes into the next point, which is where I think the narrative. This is the thing, because the alien narrative is being pushed. It's being pushed from all corners at the moment, and this is only started again since the whole. And I don't know if you heard about YouTube, what we're on the moment. There are certain rules about what we can say about the US election.
Tim Pool uncovered that or something? He was in trouble for it.
Yeah. Videos who talk about it now will be flagged and removed. So I'm going to break the rules here. I'm going to say it as it is.
He's going to say it.
Joe Biden rigged the election.
Ban.
Rigged the election.
I can hear the police.
And Donald Trump won by a huge landslide.
Dum, dum, dum.
In Minecraft, mind you.
Oh yeah, of course, yeah. We held that Minecraft election, and we got all those people to vote.
It all happened. It all voted. All the voting happened in Minecraft. No, on the serious note, first of all, YouTube stating in their email that red dot on screen. There is no red dot on screen.
It's probably because it's on your forehead.
Yeah, it's probably something on your end, JD. I got no red dot here.
JD is actually a Fed.
Yeah.
He's got his sniper rifle aimed right at you.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I see what he means. Yes, and the other point was the certification. Now claiming that because YouTube said that it's beyond doubt the states and all the states, all the votes have been certified. No, they haven't. They have not been certified.
I saw so that I have some American friends on Instagram who post this sort of shit all the time. And I saw them saying that, and I was like, I haven't been following it that closely because I'm sticking firmly to the I'm not American guns.
Yes.
My I'm not American guns. But I could have sworn that they haven't certified everything yet.
No, they don't go until I think it's the new year. What you have is, and this is where the problem is, historically, most US elections, it's quite obvious the winner is because, like with if you take like Obama, he won Florida, he won the Carolinas, Virginia, the swing states, Nevada. He won seats which Republicans usually won. So he had quite a big win. So at that point it was quite obvious. So it was already like, and then like McCain and Romney sort of conceded, and it was like was that.
Yeah, I mean, we had Bush versus Gore, and he took fucking forever.
Yeah, 75 days. I
was only a wee lad at the time.
Yeah, same. I don't remember it. plenty of articles out there. It's actually worth looking into, because that was quite intense. Because basically, what you had is Gore was saying, "Oh, I want you to count. I'll count Florida, but only count like these 3 counties." And then it was like, "Well, no, we need to do the whole count for the whole recount for the whole of Florida, not just like these like 3 counties." And he was like, "No, no, no, only these 3 counties will do." Like,
That's a bit sus.
yeah. This time around, it's a bit different because number one, Trump won swing states like Florida, like Ohio, but obviously states like what was it, Arizona, and that he lost to Biden allegedly, along with the like Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin as such. And what makes it bizarre is like on election night, because I was watching it, his vote share was up, Biden's was down in the most of the states, and then you had like in like urban like cities, Trump was doing like he was achieving like 16% swings, like in
Yeah.
Los Angeles County. I mean, he was basically doing what Boris did in 2019.
That's actually what I was about to say. That like, what would have happened? Well, what would it have looked like if Corbyn's lot had pulled what you're saying that Biden's lot have pulled in Minecraft?
Well, yeah. I mean, it I mean, I don't think it'd ever be able to happen in this country.
Yeah, in theory.
I
wouldn't put it past them to try, if I'm honest.
No, I wou't.
Senses like fucking Tower Hamlets or something.
Yeah, I mean, Labour want to relax voting.
Yeah. I mean, what was it? Peterborough. That was a bit sus when they got rid of the Brexit Party, like only just.
Yeah.
Last year.
That was correct. Listen, I mean, this is the thing. Labour areas are the areas which have the most shenanigans going on.
Yeah, it's funny that.
Yeah, it's always one-sided. Same in America, it's always one-sided. And this is the thing. If this is my question to all of you watching, and because I know that some of you have been a bit demoralized with all this lately. If there was nothing to this, if Trump was making a complete fool of himself over not conceding over the election, why is it YouTube has resorted to basically delivering a statement saying that questioning the results of the election will get you banned?
Well, it's misinformation, isn't it? Yeah, you can't let misinformation spread.
Well, it's misinformation, but what does it do? I mean, let's just look at it from a practical point of view. If they were so confident that they've won, they would just ignore it.
I don't think they would.
I think they would. If they generally thought they won, and they knew that it was Biden won above board.
We know what happens. We know what happens if you give them an inch of power. Even if they disagree with you and they're obviously correct, they'll still shut you down. I don't see them.
But why? Because they've won the war.
I don't think not being authoritarian give them a chance. Like, what's their incentive not to?
Well, their incentive. Well, there is no. It's not about incentive. The point is that they've won the war, and they've basically, they've
won the war.
In their mind, they've won the war, and the majority of the country aren't racist Nazis.
No, I mean, you see them already pivoting to the Trumpism narrative as opposed to Trump.
Yeah, but
they're going supporters now.
But my point is, the point is that they are making it look like that they're panicking. For me, YouTube's thing with Tim Pool, that's a panic. The media, like Andrew Neil in this country, panic.
Yeah, I see what you're saying there. I mean, I can imagine at YouTube if they are as open but behind closed doors as we think about them saying, we reckon, well, if they're saying to each other in like meetings or whatever that shit, we need to clamp down on this. Are they saying misinformation like they're saying to us, or are they saying, right, we need to make it look like Biden won?
From what I can see from the thing that Tim Pool got and many others, it specifically references the election. It's nothing about misinformation. If it was misinformation, you could say it'd be harder to suggest, oh, it was about the election, because you could say, well, it could be anti-vax, it could be the JQ or whatever, it could be about all that sort of stuff. But in reality, it in their letter, it was all about the election. And why specify it as just the election? Because it seems they're putting a lot of energy into something that if they generally, because they generally believe Biden won, it's just you just put out a statement saying, yeah, we're doing something on misinformation. But they're putting a lot of energy, and it's because I think in the last week, momentum and energy behind the Trump campaign has started to build up because, and this is the real kicker, and this is where you have reality and fiction clashing with one another. There is evidence of voter fraud. There is, because
yes. That's so funny when they say there's no evidence, and I'm like, bitch, you're getting sued by like 20 states now.
there is evidence. First of all, first of all, you got the forget the affidavits, because people getting really shitty with affidavits and everything, saying, oh well, that's just people's statements and everything. It's like, yeah, but they can be prosecuted. It's basically affidavit is the same as swearing, giving evidence in court.
It's like the Brexit people or the Remainer people being like, oh, it was an advisory referendum. It's even if that like is the letter of it, the spirit of it is like the most people want to leave in that case. In this case, you've got, even if they're not sworn testimonies, you've got hundreds, if not, I don't know how many it is, hundreds of thousands.
Oh, I think it's in the thousands now of affidavits.
Yeah, you've got at least boxes full of written testaments, whether they're sworn or not. You still have this amount of people coming forward.
Yes.
Like whether or not they're not technically like worth as much in court is kind of by the by in that case.
Yeah, and also you have in voting machines. Now this is where, again, I know a lot of people in our circles say, forget Dominion, forget the voting machines, and I say no. That is the key, because that is where you're going to find hard, irrefutable evidence of voter fraud. And what do we know? And have you heard about the Arizona trial of these voting machines? What's happened recently with a judge ordering a sample of 100.
Oh yes, they put in a load of votes for, sort of equally, and then they came out more on Biden's side.
Yeah, 25% more.
Yeah, so they somehow got hold of one of the machines and or a load of the machines and started testing them.
Yeah, and these votes, by the way, for people, this was done randomly. The court or the judge or whoever, they selected these votes by random. It wasn't like one street in Arizona. It was just complete random. And this is the best bit. You've got in some states Nevada being one of them, some of the postal votes, the mail-in ballots, as they call them in the US, the registration of like occupancy is turning out in some areas to be, abandoned warehouses, empty lots. I think Stephen Crowder next week is going to be doing a live stream where he's going to be going around to these areas.
Crowder has been surprising me with his kind of extremeness with this. Like, he does not give a fuck. Which before he's like, he seems very sort of boomer, very safe.
Yes.
Conservative. But now he's like, no, I'm going to go and like sort this out myself.
But this is the thing. There is evidence of it, and the point is, and this is something which there's a lot of people who I would who I've listened to who claim to be on the right, who I've liked and respected over the times. People even like Douglas Murray, who I do like. I still like. I think I cut him a bit of slack with this because he's never really been in favor of Trump, and he's not really much. He doesn't know much about U.S. politics, and he knows about like the social aspects of like society. He's not like the hard numbers politics guy. I think if I sat him down and talked him through it, I think I could probably get him to go, yeah, that's wrong. But his fear, I mean, his fear is basically it just trigger a civil war. I don't think it will, but and the reason I don't think it will is just on the sheer numbers alone. Because if you apply, right, Charles, if you apply that those voting machines, the Dominion voting machines, in all the states, let's just say that 25% swing was reproduced across, nationwide. It means Biden's actual numbers go from, what was it, 81 million votes to about 62, I think it was 62 million.
A lot for an American election.
No, it's about the same as what Hillary got. Probably just a bit more than Hillary.
How many did? Oh no. Wait, sorry. I'm thinking of Obama got 70 million, didn't he? Or just under?
I think just under. Yeah, he just got under 70 million. And so what you would have is Trump would probably be on. Well, I've seen numbers saying that he would have increased it by another 4 million, so he'd be on 78 million.
Jesus.
Biden would be on 64 million or something like. But let's just say that Biden's on 64 million and Trump's on 73 million, which is what the number I think is at the moment. Let's just say it's just that for the moment. That's a landslide for Trump.
Yeah.
That's a landslide. I mean, there's no two ways about it. The thing, though, is that that's applying the method of Dominion across all other states, that the quote unquote software, which again is, there's been errors, bugs. We can't even talk about the errors that happened. I'm sorry, YouTube. There were congressmen on the night of the election in Michigan and New York who were told they lost their seat, only to be phoned up fucking hours later, told, sorry, there was an error in the counting, you've won.
I didn't know. I hadn't heard that.
Yeah, happened in Michigan, happened in a few states actually. I heard the one in Michigan happened because that was quite a big one, because that was like in the build up to the people looking at the numbers and going, there's something strange here. And as they got down ballots and everything, and that's another matter altogether. But Horace just pointed out the Texas lawsuit. I think the Texas lawsuit, important thing about that, there's several important things. One, it goes to Supreme Court anyway. Number two, they have greater powers like subpoenas and everything. So this is where serious shit, you're going to see some serious shit. And this serious stuff is going to go down.
Yeah, so I guess this is me being more familiar with America. This is obviously states and nations in Europe are different, but this is equivalent to England and France suing Germany and Austria, say.
I mean, it's quite a big deal that
as a national government or a state government.
Yeah. It's quite a big deal because the narrative in this country is that, and I saw it on the news today, and I tell you what, every time I turn on the BBC or something, I just laugh all the way through it. I just can't.
I actually can't. I'm going to go home. I'm going to go and see my parents next week, and my mum always has BBC on in the background, like all the time. And it's going to just do my head in, because I'm going to watch this and be like, this is just such bollocks.
Yeah, I've literally just evolved above the BBC at the moment, because
you have ascended.
I've ascended above the BBC, and I guess, cannot be asked with their bullshittery anymore. I mean, like literally, like today, the news story wasn't about the Texas lawsuit or anything. It was like it was basically Biden transition team, and then it was like Republicans are leaving Trump in droves, and it's like, stop lying. They're not leaving him in droves. Like, literally, the only way you could honestly say that is if Texas did the lawsuit and every other Republican state in America turned around to Texas and said, "Listen, the game is up. We've lost. You got no basis." Then you could say there's a problem. But I mean, have you seen the map of the states which have?
I've seen a few going around Twitter. Yeah, no, because it's not even that. There's a certain number of them that are suing. There's some that have sued back, and there's some that are declaring neutrality. Like it's actually like a two-sided thing at this point.
Yeah. So this is. I'll just bring this up. So this is what we got at the moment. So this is basically the political divide anyway. But
Ohio is being Switzerland here.
Yeah, the red states here are with Texas. The blue ones are with Pennsylvania, and you got, I guess, neutral and non-legal stance. I thought North Carolina was Republican, but I also hear they got. This is the thing. Up here in the Northeast, you got Republican governors and everything, but they're basically rhinos. Republicans in name only, just a bunch of frauds.
I was going to say it'd be funny if there was a state that had technically been won by Biden, but they just decided to sue themselves.
Well, 30%, according to Rasmussen, 30% of Democrats think that Biden rigged the election.
Sorry, 30% or
30? Yeah, 30.
I mean, I've seen people saying more. That's low compared to what I've heard people kind of throwing around.
No. 30% of Democrat voters think that Biden rigged the election.
Oh, fuck. Okay, that's big. That's more. Yeah, that's more mad.
Yeah. It's
I'm guessing it's something like 90% of Republicans.
Yeah, and this is the thing. Okay, Texas argument is this, and it's very simple. Each state has to follow federal laws when it comes to elections. They have to follow the laws with elections, right? Pennsylvania changed the rules before the election without going through the legal channel through the legislator. And Texas has basically said, we have to follow the laws. You guys have to follow laws, but you broke the laws, so we're taking you to court now. Every single state should be with Texas on this, even if you are a Democrat voter, because you can't have a situation where one state just openly breaks a law. And it would be like it'd be like a council in England, where they would basically say to the Electoral Commission, "Oh, we're not following the laws on, postal voting, or we'll stay open for an extra hour, or we would accept people without ID." I mean, it would be something absolutely mental like that, which would, it wouldn't.
Looking at the American election from the standpoint of being British, it was such a fucking shambles.
Yeah,
but they've only 5 or 6 more million, or 5 or 6 times more people than us, and like our system seems to work pretty sort of organized, and it's not like they couldn't do everything in parallel. Like if we can have counties and constituencies counting in one night, obviously they just have more constituencies, but each of them are counting their own thing. So why can't they do that? Why are they so fucking useless?
Well, because the problem is, basically the Democrats, like Labour, they're like a really horrible parasite which latches onto the skin. And the problem is that you if you try and pull it, it just digs in deeper. So you can't, once it gets hold, you can never get rid of it. And you constantly have like this rash and this sort of itch that emerges from the parasite bite, and it just starts to spread and spread until it gets to a point where it gets infected. And that's basically what's happened to a lot of these states, which used to be red states. And once they go blue, they never revert back to red. And it's not because the Republicans are incompetent. Well, I mean, they are incompetent, but it's not because that they don't agree. It's because there are high voter irregularities in these states. There are very high numbers. I mean, which example? Yes, so in Nevada, you had instances where people were the registrations were these abandoned and empty lots, which Crowd is going to prove and is going which is going to be interesting. In Georgia, you had mail-in ballots, which were this is in the Atlanta area. All of this nonsense, all this bullshit and rigging and this Mugabeization of politics happened within Atlanta. Okay, and you had people registered at their property at post offices. You had this supposed water leak from a toilet, which
it was some pipe or something in one of the places.
And this thing, I've seen a lot of people on Twitter, Captain Swiss, who else? The usual suspects saying, "Oh, this never happened. Oh, it's fake news." And well, okay, if it's fake news, but why were the media on the night reporting on it? Why was NBC and CNN and the local newspapers? Are they fake right-wing news outlets now?
Yeah, it all seems a bit sus. I mean, as I said, I've been kind of banging the "I'm English, I don't care" drum, but I do see a lot of evidence, but also like I'm also kind of resigned to the fact that it's not going to go the way we want it to. Just somehow out of the blue, something's going to go wrong, and they're going to lose, and it's just going to get crushed. Like that's kind of my very black pill take on it, I guess.
I think Biden will not be president.
That's a bold statement. I'm hedging my. Am I hedging my bets? It's kind of like I'd like to believe that, but also I'm like, if they can do this, then what else are they prepared to do? If it goes to civil war, like Jesus.
I don't think it will come to that, and I'll explain in a bit why I don't think it will come to that. But I think I think that Trump will prevail. I think this is where I get down to it. I think on a legal level, I think the Republicans have got enough. And I think on the merits alone of the fact that these states broke the law and changed the rules, did not go through the legislators and everything. And this is the thing, we've been hearing these news stories saying, like especially in the UK here, Trump's legal bid in this place and this place has been chucked out by the judges, and it's been condemned widely, and it's condemned everywhere. No, it hasn't. What's happened is individual legal, I guess you could say, claims.
Yes, it's not his claims; it's private citizens.
It's private citizens, and they haven't been chucked out. What they've been done is you have to get to the top court. You have to go through all the partisan judges, because what you have is you have on the district level, you have judges which are appointed by the politicians. So, midwits watching this, take notice. Okay, in a Democrat area, guess what you have? You have Democrat judges, and in a Republican area, in the Republican district, you have Republican judges. Do you understand now? Good. So let's continue. So what you have is naturally, if you're a Republican and you're lodging a complaint in Michigan, and it goes to, because all these they got Democrat governors. What you have is on the district level, it's going to be chucked out. We all know that. Pennsylvania was quite interesting because you had different judges who there was one judge who was, I think she was she actually sort of sided slightly. Well, I wouldn't say sided, but she sort of agreed with the Trump campaign initially on the or on Rudy Giuliani's bit. But at the same time, the governor and the what was it that the Secretary of State, the state's Secretary of State, just sort of went over the top and just went ahead and certified it anyway, or begun the process to certify, and so the judge had to block it. So it looks like this is the thing. Trump isn't crossing the Rubicon. He isn't behaving like Julius Caesar. The Democrats are. They're the ones that are basically just tearing up the rule books at this stage.
Yeah, that's an interesting way of looking at it. I guess they're not behaving. They're more behaving like a hive mind rather than around a single individual.
Yeah.
Like they don't have a central figurehead. And like what, Biden, really? You know, I guess he's more like an idol, like a sort of avatar rather than an actual person.
Yes. And I've just got some breaking news coming through actually on this.
Go on then.
Right. Pennsylvania, Michigan, Georgia, Wisconsin file brief in opposition to Texas SCOTUS. Well,
wait, so how does that change
I would say good luck to them. First of all, in Georgia, because Georgia, it's interesting one because that's Republican run, but they're a bunch of cowardly wets, white rhinos, what they other call them. So I would say to them, good luck to you. I mean, personally, if Trump does lose this, because of Georgia, I would say to the Republicans there, nuke the party, leave it, and just when I say destroy it, destroy them. Not in the physical sense, but in the way of the process. Leave the party. Just basically go it alone. And the Georgia one does surprise me, but at the same time, there's a lot of stuff coming out from Georgia about their relationship, the Republicans there with China, and that there seems to be a connection forming with China and the United States and the Biden campaign. And so this is where it goes into more national politics.
Yeah, there was the guy that was banging a Chinese spy. I saw that.
Yeah, it's some like Californian.
There was a video of him with like a time and date stamp of him basically saying that Trump's owned by the Russians and that he's doing stuff with Russian spies, and then there's literally at the same time as he's banging a Chinese spy.
Yeah. And this is the thing. There's actually more evidence of Chinese collusion because there was actually a Chinese Communist Party member who, on a video, and it's on Crowder's last stream, basically admitting to influencing the going in to influence US elections in the future. This was done before, so they've been confessing to it. But I mean, Georgia seems to be where the traitorous Republicans live. The traitorous GOP establishment have a tight grip on. And this is the thing. If I was a GOP member, I mean, this is the thing I don't understand is surely if you allow the Democrats to get a hold of your state, that's it, you're done. I mean, there's going to be a point where if this just left to continue and Biden does win, every single state is going to go blue until Alabama goes blue.
Yes.
And it's just going to remain blue forever because they'll just rig the vote and they'll just put barriers in place, and it will be a one-party state like North Korea and China.
Yeah,
and
it's like at that point though, like this is what I'm thinking. This is what I've been thinking is like there's so much kind of pent up energy there where people are seeing this and more people are seeing this. At what point, like this can't go on for 50 years, say. Like, how long do they think they're going to get away with this? Like, are they going to do this for the next 10 elections? Or is it 5 elections? Or is it 2 or 3? Like,
I don't know. It depends what the GOP do, because I think if the GOP abandoned Trump now, they would nuke the party and it would be destroyed. It literally, because people who are in the GOP now, the membership, the people who turn out at rallies, they are Trump supporters and they are anti-globalist. And the reason why, and I'm going to say, I mean, first of all, for the Georgia Republicans, the reason why people are pissed off and you're getting a lot of hate at the moment, instead of going on to national TV and whinging about it, maybe start listening to your constituents. Just a crazy thought.
Yeah.
Hey, crazy thought.
People were supposed to represent haters. Me.
Yeah. A crazy thought there, guys. Go and represent them. Do what Texas has been doing. Now, Texas, which was meant to be the one state that was going to flip blue, as I remember many midwits claiming during the election.
Yeah.
The reason, I tell you what, if they refused Dominion voting machines, and I think if they accepted it, it would be a blue state now. Personally,
that's interesting. Yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
So which states had the Dominion machines then, or is it which states?
Have a guess.
With the ones that flipped at the last minute.
The ones that flipped at the last minute, yeah. I mean, I think California as well. I mean, first of all, I mean, I could do a whole video on California and the irregularities in that. They're still counting the vote today, by the way, in California, the presidential. I mean, it's absolute farce. And this is the thing. On the international stage, when you have like elections in Africa or the Far East or the Middle East, you always have, especially in these tin pot dictatorships, you always have like America and such that say, "Oh, well, it's obvious this election was rigged and everything." You know, they condemn the election and say that it was not fair and free. Because of this, America has no more. If Biden becomes president, there's no leg to stand on now. There is no leg.
They would be in there with the blue helmets if this had happened to some African country.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is the thing. In Minneapolis, Biden got 25% more votes than Obama did in 2008.
Yeah.
But in Los Angeles counties, he was down about 16%. It was only in Minneapolis, in Chicago, in Philly, and in Atlanta. Everywhere else, consistent, apart from those areas. And conveniently, that's what flipped. And also Clark County as well, in Nevada as well. There's that's again that you got that Arizona as well. I mean, I don't know what's going on in Arizona. Arizona is another bizarre one as well. But I mean, apart from that, it's obviously it's not beyond the realms of possibility that Biden is the most popular president in US history, even more popular than Barack Obama.
Yeah, I mean, that's something that I struggle with. Like I having spoken to a few Americans, I get the scale of the Trump hate, But is it like most popular president ever because they didn't like the other guy level? Like these people like genuinely believe that they have National Socialists, like specifically National Socialists, running their government, and
Yes.
these are just regular people. And it's like the people who believe that they have actual National Socialists running the government, and they're just regular people who you could have a regular, normal conversation with about anything else. And it's like, this is obviously a majority opinion within their particular bubble because it's fucking insane. So, like, is that enough to? Is the hatred for Trump enough to push it to that level? Like, because it's such an insane, burning hatred.
The thing though is, and this is where I don't think it's true, and just go with me. He increased the vote share across the board, but he increased it particularly within the African American, the Hispanics, white women, even black women. That's why.
I saw a graph going around, and it was only white men that he lost votes in, or something like that.
Well,
I don't know how I didn't see a source, so I don't know how.
I haven't seen a source of him losing votes with white men because, and this is why I don't think he actually lost any votes. Number one, he increased like on raw numbers alone, he increased his votes by about 10 million. I think it was like 10 million.
Yes.
Yeah, 10 million. So he increased it.
So what I'm thinking is, like, how many people have basically never voted before and have sat in their room, well, sat wherever for the last 4 years being told that their country is being entirely annihilated by this evil racist Nazi.
Yes.
And they thought, like, shit, I'd actually better go and vote for once. Is it 20 million people? Or however many it would need to be? Whereas...
Well, no, but the thing is, I mean, for that tactic to work, Trump would have to lose votes. There is no scenario.
Why? Because I thought it's not... Wait, how many people... maybe I can't do maths here, because how many people voted?
Well, we don't know the turnout yet.
Well, roughly. Is it half the population, or is it most of them?
If I was to guess, I would say, given the numbers that are coming out, I would say, I mean, it's definitely more than 70%. You're looking close to 80%.
Because I'm thinking more like the UK, where it's kind of like half of adults vote.
Yeah.
So if it was half of adults were voting in 2016, and now it's like 60 or 70% of adults are voting.
But that's the thing, we don't know, because they're still counting.
Yeah, but where are they still counting? Is it everywhere they're still counting, or is there only a few places left?
Well, it's only a few places. You probably guess which states they are. They're all blue states.
Sure.
But New York, California, and New York, I know, are still counting.
Put it this way, like, what percentage is still left to be counted?
I don't know, because they're still finding ballots. This is the absurdity of it. I mean, this is the absurdity of it, and this is why the American elections are just complete jokes. And literally, Putin has a massive excuse now just to turn around and just laugh at Americans every time they criticize him for elections. It's like, yeah, well, I might rig the vote, but at least I don't rig it like Biden getting it. And this is the thing, like, at one point in the night, Biden got a voter dump of about 140,000 votes.
I saw that,
came in at one point, and they all came for Biden. Now, on the BBC's own page from 2016, where they say signs of election fraud, I think that covers like at least two of them. Huge dumps of votes, all for one candidate.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I saw that in the morning after, when I was kind of catching up on it. And like, wasn't there that clip of the is it CNN or sort of one of those alphabet companies where there's the guy reporting it live, and then they all appear out of thin air, and he just looks so confused.
Yeah, that was CNN, and
poor guy.
Confused because
he was like, oh, everything has gone blue where it was previously red.
But the crazy thing was, I was watching it live and I saw it, and Biden numbers went up by 140,000. But I noticed that Trump, because Trump was about, this is like they were both at 2 million, roughly, and Trump, Biden took the lead, and then suddenly this vote came in, and Biden went up. I saw the numbers change on the scoreboard, but then I realized that Trump had like 2 million and like 40,000. It was quite you saw the zeros and everything. So remembered the numbers, and it remained exactly the same. Trump's numbers remained exactly the same while Biden's went up, and meanwhile I saw that I was like, oh my god! Because I was watching Don the Pleb as well. He was doing it and this is the thing that I saw. He noticed and I know and sort of picked up on it. As soon as each state, or when each counties in the state reporting 93%, there was then a further dump of votes and then another dump of votes until they just had that lead over Trump, and then they were in the clear.
Yep. Yeah. You just see it all collapsing around you, like what the fuck.
Yeah. And again, I think personally, I think that this was. There are some that say this is a conspiracy. I think what happened is I don't know what. Well, I think what happened is that you have on the ground activists in the Democrat Party who have been so heavily radicalized that they genuinely believe that that Trump is the next Hitler.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, is that they believe that literal National Socialists are in their government, and they are so insane in this belief that they are willing to do anything to get rid of him. And if it starts with bringing an election and ends in violence, then so be it, as far as they're concerned. Like, if you thought that, I don't know, if there was an election in the UK and it looked like, you're going to think of, but I don't think Corbyn's going to start rounding people up, or would have started rounding people up. Can we think of a left-wing politician that would start rounding people up? Because remember,
maybe the SNP, I guess.
Because obviously, remember, they think that there are concentration camps on the Mexico border.
Yeah,
like they think that they exist and they are equivalent to fucking certain other happy holiday camps in Poland. They think they're of equivalence. And so if you thought that was going on in your country, obviously a long way from you, then you would do whatever it takes, I guess.
Yeah. And I think what happened is, because I remember, and I've been looking back some of my posts and everything, and then previous streams, I noticed that one thing that's quite interesting was that in the next day, when it became clear to the media that Biden had won, or was on path of winning, there was no immediate celebrations or jubilations from the Biden campaign or the Democrats, because there was just, I think a lot of people were confused because of numbers, but also you had I think what you had is you had this immediate shock from Democrats, where they realized that the activists in the local states basically got greedy. And I think the reason I think Trump will prevail in this is I think that they did get greedy, and in the past they've done the shenanigans and made it look obvious. Made it look subtle. But this time it's not subtle; it's obvious, and it's staring you in the face.
I heard the idea, which you could say it's a bit of a cope, a bit of a like out there idea, hopeless optimism. But the idea that these Republicans have known that they've been doing this for years and have basically been building evidence for decades, and I'm going to present it all at once like that. As I said, that sounds like a cope, but it's something that I've heard people saying.
The way that it could be, but the way that if they wanted to combat it, the first thing you do is voter ID. That's it.
Yeah, well, that's racist. We can't have that.
To be honest, if I was the Republicans, like Republican-controlled Senate, this is the crazy thing as well. Like the Republican Party has increased. They basically gained 15 congressional seats from the Democrats. Democrats were down 15. They gained 15. The Republicans have held on to the Senate at the moment. Georgia is because they got a runoff. The way that the Republicans are going down there, they're basically the state Republican Party is basically handing it over to the Democrats at this stage. But at the moment, it looks like the Republicans are going to have a very nice, comfortable numbers, especially when it comes to midterms, as well. So I would say if you were an American GOP member, activist, whatever like they call themselves, contact your senator, state legislators, whoever responsible for this, and go for the voter ID on the federal elections, because that's the only way you're going to stop it. And also, don't do electronic voting.
Yeah, that's just retarded. Like, why would you do that?
No other nation in Europe, no European nation does it for that very reason.
Like, it boggles the mind, honestly. Like, you could either fucking put a mark on a piece of paper and put it in a sealed envelope, or you could fuck about with computer networks and like it just is insane to me.
It isn't.
Letting the government do it as well, like, or the state governments, like subcontract it to companies. Are you fucking mental?
But that's why they do. I mean, personally, that's why they do it, because they know it is how they retain power. Retain power. I mean, it's how they maintain their power. And
these companies that do it, I don't know if they offer any other IT services, but if they have the ability to lobby, then why not? This is what I hate about the American. Well, I mean, it obviously happens in every democratic nation that politicians get bribed, but the fact that it's fucking legal with the lobbyists, or it's like okay because of the lobbyists, it just does my head in.
Yeah, it's pure lobbyists. And I say we'll wrap it up soon, but the final news story, moving away from America, and this is where,
bong.
Bong. The next news story in this is it looks like that we're going to have a no trade deal with the European Union.
Fucking go.
Yeah, that's where I'm at the moment. I mean, to be honest with that, that's what we should have been done like day one in January. But it. So first of all, it is the question that's been going around in our circles is this just Boris bluffing? I don't think it is, and I'll just point out why. Number one, he's recalled all his ministers tonight for a meeting in Downing Street. He's also sort of I've heard rumors on the grapevine that he's also started recalling some of the negotiation teams from Brussels.
Like now we're done. Get out.
It's looking like that now. I mean, and this is the thing. The EU is not worth. I mean, handing over our fishing waters to the EU is just not worth it. Like, forget the economic side, because that you. I mean, you can economically we don't need, but like from a moral point of view, when it comes to a sovereign nation, that would be the ultimate portrayal of any conservative to do, is just to hand over fishing waters again to a foreign entity like the European Union.
Yeah, I've heard people
And
say, that they're, that they're international waters, they're not British waters. But the fact that the French are trying to use them as a bargaining chip, kind of implies
okay,
that they are ours because they're asking for our permission.
So midwits who claim international waters, you have international shipping lanes, which, by the grace of the nation that they go through, will respect the international shipping lanes. The international waters are, well, from what I understand, great bodies of ocean. So you have that in the Atlantic and Pacific, like when you have, right out in the middle of nowhere. Yes, but areas off the coast of Norfolk, areas across the Channel, the Irish Sea, north of Scotland, the North Sea. That isn't international waters. That is actually properly divided up between UK, Ireland, Norway, the European Union, and such. There is clear defining boundaries. Okay, so this sort of midwit response saying, "Oh, it's all international." No, it's not. In your fucking mind, it's international. In reality, there is clear waterways because every other nation has water way access because you need it for security. You need it for upholding territorial. It's like holding land. You wouldn't just say, "Oh, Wales is now an international land. It's everyone. It's for everyone." No, you of course you wouldn't bloody do that.
Should we just declare Wales as virgin territory? they are now natives, and we can just subjugate them.
Yeah. Sorry, Owain.
Wales is now untouched.
Yes. No, it's such a ridiculous argument, and again, international waters, it's all mixed up in international law, which of course international law is like the Easter Bunny. It's not real.
Well, it's a bit of an oxymoron, isn't it? Like, how do you have law that is outside of a nation?
Well, it isn't. It's like it's about as relevant as Islamic law is in Iran to us.
Yeah.
Yes, Islamic law exists, but it doesn't impact us. Why? Because it doesn't. Because, well, importantly, we're not an Islamic country, and also number two, the laws have no foundation.
My assumption is the international law is kind of what's supposed to apply in these so-called international waters where no one really owns it, like, or I don't know, Antarctica or something. Like, it's places which aren't defined to be part of a particular nation, or like the moon or something like that. It's not that it applies if you're in England, say, then English law applies to you first.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think it's a difficult, because number one, that's quite. I mean, Antarctica is split up between the nations. Actually, but people don't really know this. There's actually, like, Australia and New Zealand have got portions, and we've got portions of the Antarctic.
Okay,
yeah. So you have that. I think international law is basically like the UN agreement. So like we all know.
It's what do people mean by international law? Do they mean large-scale treaties between nations, like, I don't know, nuclear test ban treaties or something? Is that international law, or is it just an agreement between?
Well, nations? I think like you take like war. Like international law says that you're not allowed to target women and children. Didn't stop Obama. Didn't stop Blair and Bush.
Vietnam, napalming villages.
Yeah, didn't stop. Napalm. Yeah, so there you go. There you go. The debunk. I've debunked one. International law. Then you take the EU. Now the EU is the biggest and the greatest body that has broken international law throughout their time of existence. First of all, they signed an agreement for Turkey. Do you remember Turkey to start the process to join the European Union.
Yes.
Yeah, the European Union has broken international law.
Okay, by doing what?
By not following through of integrating Turkey into the European Union.
Oh, I see, but by breaking that agreement.
Yeah, they've broken international law.
Wait, so the international law was that they have to let Turkey in, or was that some other?
Oh, it's no. What is it was an international agreement which was recognised on a UN by various countries. It was recognised by various countries that they were going to integrate. I mean, it doesn't mean they. Yeah. So, and that's what this whole ridiculous like media spin, and also, I mean, again, clueless conservative MPs as well. We basically said, well, you know that whole thing. We're going to break international law in a very limited way. No, the response.
No.
Yeah, the response should have been, we are upholding English law. We're not breaking international law because the European Union broke international law first with us when they refused to negotiate in good faith. That's what the response should have been, and there's plenty of evidence to provide that they broke it.
I mean, look, at the end of the day, UK sovereignty is more important than international law.
Well, yeah, I mean, and then of course, going back to the senile geriatric from Delaware, who decided to wade in on Brexit, saying that we protect Northern Ireland and everything, and it's quite clear the fucking old diswat doesn't know what the hell he's talking about.
Yeah, you like talking to the French president about it, and everyone's like, "Why?" or "What?"
I mean, personally, I'm going to put forward a motion in the Conservative Party to get the Democrats registered as an international terrorist organisation. I'm so sick and tired of them every time they fucking open their mouths.
Yeah,
no, seriously, I mean,
trouble with American Democrat friends just saying like, I don't care about who you want as your president. I want the guy who's going to do better for my country. Like, I don't care if he's like a bit mean.
Well, yeah. I mean, one thing I will say is that Biden has surrounded himself with what I would class as, and like himself, plastic paddies. Plastic Irish.
The Irish question.
Yeah. So this is what my streams usually descend to, right before we finish. Starting with UFOs and ending with the Irish. So his in certain parts of the United States, I'm aware that there is, especially with strong quote unquote Irish heritage, there is this great animosity between the United Kingdom and Ireland over Northern Ireland. The fact that the majority of the population in Northern Ireland don't identify as Irish because they're ethnically Scottish and English and Dutch and whatever have you, it obviously doesn't matter to them. So what you have is a situation where you have a group of politicians who predominantly Democrat. I know there's been Republicans, but predominantly Democrat, who are very pro IRA, very pro Sinn Féin, and very anti-British. And the Kennedys were part of this little cabal of useless idiots. And so Biden and some of his people as well. Like there's one of his advisors tweeted out after the election, like literally next day, "Oh, I'm not. We're coming after Boris, you fucking liar," and everything. And it's like, cool. I mean, personally, I would go. I mean, at this point, if Biden does become president, I don't know how we can have diplomatic relations with America.
Yeah. Well, first we've got independence from the EU. Now can we have independence from America, please?
Well, I mean, all I'm saying is we got the Marines to burn down the White House once. We could do it again.
Minecraft, though.
Sorry?
Minecraft, though, obviously.
Minecraft, yeah.
Build a model. I'm sure you can find some 1812 Marines skins for Minecraft.
Skins, yeah. in Minecraft. Yeah.
Build a little White House.
Yeah. But the thing there is, the future now for the UK post Brexit is and they've started doing this. I noticed that like Liz Truss and such started doing this with Canada.
I saw a news thing that was saying she'd done something like 50 trade deals.
Yeah, she has. Yeah.
I was like, excuse me. I thought they told her it was going to take a decade to get one.
Yeah, but you were listening to this. This is the thing. People with PhDs in the names are usually morons.
Yeah, that's been a sad realization for me.
Yeah, it's just, unfortunately, like all the people. I mean, okay, all these people that you see on Sky and like BBC for the last 4 years, like from these think tanks and pressure groups, they're all shysters.
So one policy that I've kind of has bubbled to the forefront of my mind the past couple of weeks is I don't care what an expert says. I care what they've written in their peer-reviewed research article.
Yes.
Like, I'm not going to listen to them if they're on some BBC program. I want to know what their research says, who reviewed it, who cited it.
Yeah.
I don't give a shit what else they have to do.
Yeah. And I mean, on the I know we joke about like British Empire, like 3.0, or the third British Empire and the Third Reich and all that sort of stuff. But I do generally think now, if we work on the assumption that like you're right and that Biden does become president, and you've got China, and then China's puppet in America, who's also heavily anti-British and pro-IRA, we need to start gathering the old band back together, so to speak.
I mean, I've said this as well. Like Kanzuk, I mean, I hate to be a doomer merchant on your stream, but Canada's letting China train their troops in winter survival in Canada. Like, do you really want them as part of a union with us?
We shall do what needs to be done when it comes to go. If
Australia, New Zealand is setting up COVID camps.
If it means we have to take Trudeau on a fishing trip in Minecraft and it's an unfortunate end in Minecraft to recreate the British Empire, then I'm willing to make that sacrifice.
So these I've said this. My terms for Kanzuk are: 1, Australia, Canada, New Zealand get 0 say in anything. 2, we abolish the Tory party, like nuke it from orbit. 3, the monarchy gets more power.
Okay, so let's look through that. First of all, yes, on the well, first of all, I would say the Commonwealth. I mean, I'm extending it to India as well. Now, I'll tell you why with India, because number one, it's the manpower, but also they're very hostile with China at the moment. So
they're also very hostile with the Muslim world.
Yes, they are. That could cause problem with Pakistan as the member of the Commonwealth as well, because I think Pakistan will probably leave again.
I'm okay with that, if I'm honest.
Yeah.
So I do have a couple of very close Hindu friends, and they are very pro Modi, the guy who was it president or prime minister of India?
Yeah, that's right. I think
there's a lot going on There's a lot going on right now with farmers protesting, which they are kind of against. It seems like Modi's very pro Trump, or he was. I don't know if he said anything about it since, but it's something that it annoys my Indian friends when I say I literally don't care about India right now. Like, I'm sorry, but we have our own problems.
Yeah, this is the thing. So yeah, you got. I would say Commonwealth, and the thing is, you got a Commonwealth framework anyway at the moment. You got the Commonwealth of Nations, which is its own political structure, economic and political structure, though it's very weak. It's just got little to no substance to it. So I guess you could you could do something with that. I would grab that structure and I would inject it with closer economic unity and military might.
Isn't that just globalism by another name? You know,
Well, it
you've
is,
got.
but this is the thing. If to defeat the cathedral, we have to create the British cathedral.
Don't know about that.
Well, this is how it has to be. I don't see any other way to do it. I mean, without nuking the rest of the world, I don't know how this. I genuinely think that you would have to, because this is the only way that I see it can be possible. On the second point of nuking the Tory party,
from orbit specifically.
From orbit. Number one, that's not going to happen. I don't think it's a useful part of anyone's time.
Where did I say in any way that my terms were reasonable?
Well, this is what I think should. This is what I think should happen. I think that the Kanzak nations, including us, should all have basically aligned like conservative governments, and then what you do is you basically amalgamate them all into one, and then you decentralize it to county constituencies in like England and in like local bits. So what you do is you basically take the hegemony of the Conservative senior up high party from London, and you just basically localize it to make it, I guess, to take away the power, but also strengthen it, if that makes sense.
Centralize, then decentralize.
Well, you decentralize from London and then re-centralize it with the Commonwealth. That's basically what.
Sounds like you got to get the state to give up power there.
Well, I mean, what you do is you transfer power to the empire. I mean, this is the point. Okay, this is the point. The Commonwealth is the empire, but we're just not calling it the empire because all the lefties would kick off and everyone would get upset with us. So we can't call it the empire yet. Maybe in the future we could, but we just can't call it the empire yet. And then what you do is you then go into the education system and then you basically just check out all the Marxist history books on the British Empire. And then you start producing proper books on the empire and everything else, and you not indoctrinate, but you educate children, future generations.
Well, you got to teach them something.
Well, yeah, and I just noticed the teabag who laughs. He's regularly promoting himself on everything anyone does, but yeah, go check out.
We're doing shameless promotion, are we?
He is the most shameless of all. But to be fair, his true crime series is actually very good. So yes, go subscribe to the Teabag That Laughs. He's on screen. I'll put him on screen here now. There you go. His content's actually very good. I'm enjoying it. I watched some of it the other night actually. So yeah. What was the third thing you said after nuking Tory party? Something.
The monarchy gets more power. I'm going to add a fourth one, which is kind of ubiquitous for me, and it's with plans to expand onto Mars.
Okay, yeah, Mars. I can get behind. With the monarchy, with more power.
This is not something I've thought through. That point is just a sort of more, but I haven't decided how much.
You see, what I would do is, and I would sort of copy the model that was back in the 17th century model. So what you do is you would create companies from the Duchy of Lancaster, so like the royal estates. And what you do is the monarchs would be directors in these companies.
This sounds a bit Hoppian.
Yeah, this is getting a bit Hoppian. And what you do is then when you go when we reach the galactic level, um, with our Commonwealth slash secret empire.
The Olympus Mons company.
Yeah, basically, yeah, that's what it comes down to. And when because this is the thing, what made the British Empire so successful and the early colonizations of like the America of North America and such, it wasn't actually state intervention. There was no like literally the state had nothing to do with the UK government at the day. It was all private companies that expanded it. It was all private companies that did the innovation and colonized and did like the hard working and decision making and and they all did it because you had government figures like prime ministers and ministers and MPs who were members on like boards of companies and were shareholders. So it was all an individual level. It wasn't like a collective government thing because they understood that government was effectively a very useless organization.
Yes.
So I would say space monarchy with Hoppian structure.
I think we can agree on that.
Yeah, that's how. Because number one, it would be like a golden age. It would be absolutely amazing, and also we can kick some fucking galactic Federation homo backside as well.
So it's kind of interesting because it's stuff that I've discussed on one of my streams a while ago with Matthias.
Yes,
It is the idea of basically starting up these free private cities around the world, kind of one after the other. And the idea is obviously that, assuming they work, you end up with this sort of league of economic powerhouses or sort of key points all around the world. So you end up with basically what would be like a global sort of Hanseatic league, I guess.
yeah, something like that. Yeah, free cities, free ports.
So you basically have to go to the local government and you say, look, we want to set up a Singapore on your territory. Will you let us do this? And then they go, that sounds great. Then you do it. And then obviously as you get more and more power, because it's a private endeavor, and they're already doing this with Honduras, where the Honduran government has actually amended their own constitution to allow this to happen.
Yeah. But that's how that's how Britain gained India. I mean, it wasn't like through one invasion or any military endeavor from the state. It was basically the East India, the English East India Company coming in, meeting with local Maharajas and like your Islamic Mughals and such along the Calcutta and the Bengal coast, and basically negotiating, saying, "Listen, can we set up trading ports here? Can we start buying up farmland to produce? Yep, and we'll pay this to you. We'll give you guns. I mean, this is what they were giving them in return was basically guns, cannons, all the modern perks and everything.
The guys that were nicest to us, we gave them guns to kill the people who weren't nicest to us.
Yeah, basically, and that's how it worked. And then slowly, it amalgamated into the British East Empire.
Well, I mean, there was what was that rebellion that they tried to?
Yeah, because this is the thing. What happened was there were two leading up to the rebellion. You had two key flashpoints. Like the first one was the loss of the Americas, where basically the company there was nowhere like cotton production and everything was basically then focused to India. So what you had and tobacco and such. So what you had was more demand, which meant like greater sort of buying up of land, greater control of the Maharajas and the Mughal emperor, they were all in the pocket at the time, but more land was required. And then so what you had is then by the Napoleonic Wars, you had like there was one kingdom in the south, like the Mysore kingdom, who sided with Napoleon and the French, and basically just refused to recognize the company as a legitimate body. And what you had was that the company, because they had like your sepoys and such, but they needed more muscle, so they started inviting British army troops. And what you had is the British Army teaming up with the company soldiers.
Company
And
soldiers.
sorry,
Company soldiers. Can we get any more based?
Yeah, company soldiers. See, and the best bit, these company soldiers were they were majority natives, and then the ones that were British, like English, were basically just veterans of the British Army. And the best bit was company soldiers thought very little of the British regular army. They didn't get on with each other. Even Wellington had a bit of problems with the company soldiers. He ended up like hanging a few of them. He just like every time they like, because one was Wellington was then called in to help put down this Mysore king with the company, and the trouble is he managed to besiege their capital, take it, and then like the company and even his own British soldiers just end up looting the city because spoils of war. that was their mindset. Like, yeah, spoils of war. We get everything. There's like looting and raping and everything, and he did like I think he ended up like hanging and shooting and everything and executions for this because he was very disciplined in the army and all that. The discipline broke down. But that was the first bit, and ever since then you had British troops and further British state control because the company was then what happened was its downfall of the company was that you had greater government restrictions, laws imposed until you had, of course, the Mutiny Revolt, which bankrupted the company and the government bought the company out.
And that was the point where it became where it was the Empress of India title was made.
Yeah, the British Raj, and that's basically where the downfall of like British India started, was when it began, because effectively the government, the civil service bought it out, and then they just ruined it, basically.
What lesson have we learned today, kids? If you want to take over a continent, get the private sector involved.
This is the thing. There is no. I mean, like, okay. Here's another good example. Julius Caesar, when he conquered Gaul, he didn't do it on the behest of the Roman Senate, the Roman state. He did it out of. Sorry,
he did it out of ego, and also to prove that he should be elected.
He did it out of ego, but he funded it all. His soldiers were. I mean, effectively, it was a private endeavor.
But there was Crassus taken down Spartacus as well. He bought the legion? He funded the whole thing.
Yeah. Yeah. But this is the thing. Like, he commissioned his own legion, Caesar. He commissioned to take down Gaul, and he acquired Gaul. And the Senate was so pissed off with him because the reason why is because he became a very popular figure, because the great enemy to the north was vanquished, and Rome had extended her borders
massively
all the way up to the English Channel. So again, great development was down to a private endeavor. And I mean, I'm just trying to think. The Dutch East Indies as well. Again, private company. And that's all I could think. I mean, the Spanish one. It was a private nobles. It was just a bunch of private nobles doing what they and the king, like even like with Cortez, the king got pissed off with him. When he did it anyway. So
Cortez was a bit of a lad by Spanish standards.
Yeah, he was. He was a bit of a lad. They even sent like an army across to Mexico before he conquered it to basically capture him because they thought he went rogue, which he did go rogue.
Yeah, we've done a whole stream talking about Spanish empires.
I remember that. Yes, I remember that we did that. Like probably start of the year. That was like yeah.
I was up north, so it would have been, I guess, June.
Was it now? Yeah, sounds about right. Yeah, I say time has changed.
I don't know what. It still feels like April to me. I need to sort Christmas shit.
Yeah. I've been doing this for about what was it? 8 months now, streaming and Twitter.
Yeah, I think you've been doing about. Oh, I've been on Twitter a little bit longer, but we've been doing YouTube streams about the same amount of time.
Yeah, we've been doing. I mean, I think I've done about 30 streams now.
Yeah, I've kind of switched up mine a bit. I guess I've probably done 20 or so, I would say.
Yeah, and yeah, I mean the channel's done quite well. Of late, we've had some quite big guests. I'm thinking of doing some more planks. I mean, like when we had like I had who was it? It was me and P Man and Yeetus from the Deep Lore.
Yes.
And then it was you because I think P Man introduced me to you, and then we had British. I think it was like British Knight and P Man.
Yeah.
And then British Knight introduced me to like Rubber, and then it sort of still carried on from there. And then like one day it was me, Sargon, and Harrion.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, and then there was trouble with that one. I was bloody ill. I think I had COVID that time we were streaming because I can't remember I was just sort of rambling on and we were just making jokes and laughing at Metro articles, and it was really fun. I mean, but I was like, it was annoying because I wish we'd actually like. I thought I stuck to the script. But I remember just feeling absolutely so awful, and I just wanted it to finish. It was really bad.
It is hard to stick to the scripts as well. Kind of, I keep going off on tangents.
Yeah, I think I got a bit better with it. I mean, I remember like on the British Empire streams, we just talked about the welfare state. So I should just go back and change the titles of it, so it doesn't make
them clickbaity. We're talking empire. We're not talking economics.
Yeah, but so I'll probably leave it at that. I think that's I think we've sort of covered all bases now.
I think so. Yeah.
We sort of talked about the news story. Oh yeah, and also another funny thing we'll leave go. Kay Burley and Beth Rigby.
Oh god, that was so funny. They're such morons. Like they're just such stupid people. I can now see that Boris the Liar is trending as well.
Is it? Or let's have a looky.
Yeah, because they're saying that he said that we're never going to have a no deal, and then we seem to be, and they're complaining about that.
Yeah, I see Boris failed the nation, resign. Let's see trending. What's trending? Boris failed the nation.
Boris failed the nation, where if he actually pulls this off, then it'll be one thing that he hasn't failed at. Why is Benghazi trending? Jesus.
That's probably to do with Clinton.
Okay, I probably should head off as I do need to be up for
work.
Yeah,
tomorrow. Should have. Yeah. So anyway, thanks for coming on, Joz.
No problem.
And I'll link your channel in below.
Yes, I'm currently on 99 subscribers, which is messing with my OCD. So if anybody wants to fix that for me, then feel free to.
Yeah, get up to 100. Mine's literally I don't know what's happened with mine. I get 100. I get 160 subscribers, and then suddenly I drop to 155, and then I do another stream, and it goes up to about 160, and then it drops again. And it's like I think YouTube is just like fucking around with the algorithms at the moment.
If they're at the point where they're fucking about with channels of 100 and something subs, then they've destroyed it. Like,
yeah, I mean, I know they've been targeting Harrion, but he's got like fucking thousands, like tens of thousands of subscribers.
He's gunning for 10,000s apparently.
Yeah, so I don't know. I know that he's been having trouble, but yeah, I mean, like for me, it's just like constantly like 159 subscribers. I'm like, oh, fucking move! More people subscribe. Come on, guys. But yeah, I mean, so I'll link your channel in below, and oh, by the way, I'll put on Twitter. Check out Pharaoh because we're going to be doing on Saturday a stream, an the part 2 of the art stream. So that should be quite good. I will share it close to the time, and
spit.
Well, we're going to be doing colonial. It's going to be that period, that glorious period of the French Revolution to the Russian Revolution, while Europe sort of basically chopped each other's heads off and sort of became rational humans. Britain actually started inventing and building stuff and producing amazing works of art, while the French just became more French.
Sacre bleu.
Yeah. But anyway, yeah, so thank you for coming on tonight, and we'll see you all later.
Take care, everyone.